My name is Peyton Powell. I reside in Rockland County, from Spring Valley, New York. And I work at Finkelstein Memorial Library, and I'm also a special education teacher for the East Ramapo Central School District. I actually come from a family of librarians. My grandmother was a librarian. She was a school librarian for many, many years. So every Saturday of my life was spent at my public library. And, from my experience in the library, my exposure to the library, once I was able to, get a job, I wasn't allowed to like work at the mall or anything like that. My mother said, you will get a job at the library. So I got a job at the library at probably like 15, and I've been there ever since. I've been working in my same public library for over 23 years. I'm a part of this group called the Coalition for Library Workers of Color. And our initiative is just to bring awareness about, systemic racism within the field of librarianship. I would say it's not just one woman. I want to say all the women in my family are influential to me. My grandmother, of course, who was a librarian, her grandfather was also a librarian, Elias Holloway, and he was actually the first Black librarian in his area and the first Black postman in his area. And they're actually going to name a street after him in South Carolina. But all the women in my family are, very, very strong, and they've all had an influence, on me as a person. There's also a tradition in my family where every woman gets named after a woman that came before in the family. So my name Peyton is actually my aunt's middle name, so that we can keep the tradition of representing strong women, throughout the rest of our history. I guess persistence, persistence pays off. Believe in yourself, be kind to yourself is what I would tell my younger self. Just it's okay to have space to make mistakes, but you learn from those things and be kind to yourself. As far as the library community goes, I would like to see more brown and black people, be in positions of, influence. The further up you go in the library field, the more homogenous it gets. It's mostly white women or white men at the top. So I would really like to see more, BIPOC, people in those positions. My background actually is not just Black. I also have a Native American background. So just more representation of people that look like me, because we're in there, and I feel like this is a field that not a lot of people who look like me feel like is for them, because when you go into it, you don't see anyone that really looks like you. Absolutely. You being a person of color, you just approach it way differently than anyone else would ever think of, because you are aware of, you know all the issues and, just holisticness that people come to the library with, or, what type of approach you would need. You have a bunch of different approaches in your bag,
Right.
when you're a person of color, because, the people, at least in my community, they look like me, the people that I serve.
Yeah.
So, I feel like they're also more comfortable coming to me because I look like them, so I really appreciate being in that position. And, I really honor it. And I just, it makes me feel good to know that there is somebody that they can come to that will help them in the way that they need. Representation, and not just representation in the library space, but also on the library board. So one of the opportunities I got this year, because of my work with the library, within the library community, and building up the coalition for librarians of color, library workers of color, is I was offered a position on the board of trustees for my library system. So, in that space, I am also the only one that looks like me, but, at least I have a voice
Right.
in how the system exactly works, because a lot of the issues within this field, our system, wide. So to be at that level and just see how the rules are made and, see what the initiatives are, like to be on the front line like that is, I think, is really special and it's important. So even representation on your board, your library board, I think is something that a lot of people of color maybe don't even think about,
Right.
because they're not people that you see, but these are the people that are making decisions, for your library space. So I think it's important to, and it's a volunteer position. Anyone can do it. Um, just learning about, how you get into that position, just ask about it, ask when the positions are available, and try to get on your board because that's where you're really going to have your voice and be able to make changes within, your library space.